Thank you for being with us for another edition of Progress and Promise. With us, of course, as always, is executive producer Quint Studer. Thank you so much.
Nice to be here.
Yeah. Well, we are going to talk about one of our favorite things to talk about today, which is the renaissance of downtown Pensacola. We all know that Pensacola has a great American street in Palafox, but there are some exciting developments coming just kind of north and just kind of south of that core entertainment district that is burgeoning. And some of those things are down by Rishi's stores, which are great to develop.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I think when you look at any community, and I think we have to realize any resident of the city of Pensacola is a resident of Escambia County.
Absolutely.
So it's not what's good for the county, what's good for the city, it's what good to improve the quality of life for everyone in our area. Though research from the Gallup Corporation does show that a vibrant downtown is vital to the success of a wider area, or which is Escambia County. So anytime you have downtown revitalization, it helps. One, because the dollars usually invested downtown are more than, let's say, the average home would cost. So on the same square footage, you have more expense. And of course, then you go up a few stories, which means the vertical growth helps with the urban sprawl, they call it. So we're excited about all of Escambia County and, of course, the surrounding areas. And certainly we're thrilled with what's going on Palafox. And we love what's going on north of Garden Street when you look at some of the new openings there. And of course, the market. Who can beat the market every Saturday? That's where we hang out.
It is jam-packed, full of people. It's something I never thought that I would see, certainly when I moved here 14 years ago or so. I mean, Palafox and all of downtown was just kind of a desert after 5 o'clock.
Guy came up to me this week and said he remembered 14 or 15 years ago and what a difference it makes now. And we just gotta keep it going. And of course, we're going to hear about an exciting project downtown. And then with more residential, it's even going to get better.
It will. Is that a little hint of what might be coming on perhaps a former newspaper property?
That's certainly a plan for another show, but that's certainly where we want to go. We believe that if we don't get more residential downtown, all these people that took their investments in retail are really, it's tough. So we have to attract more residential people in downtown Pensacola.
Absolutely. We need the population base to build up that base of clients to shop and go to dinner and go to baseball games and do all those wonderful things.
And churches.
Yes, and we are so lucky to have with us a guest who is going to talk some about a really cool project that I have wanted to see for a long time. When I first moved here in August of 1999, the first building that caught my eye was the Rex Theater. With its Art Deco marquee and its signature red and yellow sign, I thought it was a crime that someone had let that old theater meet such a shabby shape. If only someone would put a little love into it, it could really be something for downtown Pensacola to be proud of. Nearly 14 years later, I get my wish.
Here he is.
See? The folks at Harvest Church bought the 1910 structure in 2012 and have begun a $1.7 million effort to bring the venue back to life. The Rex has been closed to commercial use since the early 90s, but soon renovation work will begin on the interior, and contractors say the entire project should take about 6 months. Harvest is a casual, non-denominational church that has met in movie theaters since its founding in 1996 by Pastor Bobby Lepine. Currently, the church hosts services at the Carmike Theater on Bayou Boulevard, and while they will use the Rex for Sunday services, the building will be open for secular events as well. Once the Rex is spiffed up and ready for her close-up, it will be a welcome addition to the landscape of Palafox Street, which is itself seeing a renaissance. Josh Stewart is project manager for Harvest's renovation of the theater. Thank you so much for being with us.
It's my pleasure, Shannon. Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about why the Rex was something that caught your all's eye. There are lots of properties that you could have invested in along the way. What was so special about that?
And from having some experience in this, a lot of properties would be less expensive to spiff up.
Sure.
Thank you for your investment.
Absolutely, yeah. We're very excited. I guess the main reason that brought us to purchasing the Rex was kind of the way that we as a church do church, and we're very missional in the sense that we want to be somewhere that's going to be center of the community. So when we saw this theater in downtown Pensacola and it was available, the timing was perfect, and we just jumped on it and we're able to purchase it outright. We have no note or anything on it as of yet, and no renovations have happened yet. But
oh well.
So, and when I say to how we do church, right now we do church, as you said, in a Carmike Theater, and so we want to be very accessible for people who we call unchurched and dechurched, and it's just those who maybe have had a bad experience with a traditional type of church, and they want to try something different. And then people who have never entered a church, sometimes it can be kind of scary to go into a traditional church building if you haven't been there in a while. But most people find it easy to walk into a theater, and that's really what our vision is for the Rex.
And you all started at the Silver Screen, and you've kind of migrated around
We
the
have.
area.
Yeah.
And as you said, now you're on Bayou Boulevard, which is that's a busy industrial corridor, sort of commercial corridor, but it's not the kind of place where you're likely to get foot traffic.
Yeah, there's not a lot of visibility for the Carmike. People know it's a theater, but people don't know that necessarily that we meet there on Sunday mornings. With the Rex, what's neat about that is there's a lot of brand equity already built into that property. People know the Rex. A lot of more people know about the Rex than they do about Harvest. And so what's neat is when we have a service there, we're going to be able to capitalize on some of that brand equity. And then also during the week when we have our different secular events and open it as a venue for the community, whenever people are there, they're probably going to at some point realize that, hey, a church meets here on the weekends.
Oh, by the
so
way.
it's going to be a good thing.
I was pleasantly surprised, being that you've met in different places without a permanent footing, that your membership was so large. So you're going to be bringing down certainly 500 people.
Indeed, yeah, and really, the statistics show that when a church moves from a certain capacity and increases that capacity, many times the people follow. So right now we're running at about 500 or so for a weekend service, and we're looking at doubling our services. Instead of having 2 services a weekend, we're going to look at having 4, and so we're really anticipating being able to encounter close to 1,000 people on a weekend just with our services.
Sure. Like any church, all the churches I've been to, beyond the typical services, they're also trying to do good things in the community, good things from. What are some of the other things that, when people, of course, are going to know you're down at the old Rex Theater, but what are some of the other mission work that your congregation does?
Well, we have just a wide a range of people, and there are really just 4 things that we do as a church. Like we don't branch out into 50 different directions. Okay. The main focus that we have is our weekend service, and that is what we consider our outreach to the community, to those people who have never encountered God, and those who maybe have encountered a bad experience with religion in some sort. So that is our primary focus, is that weekend service. And every time you see us on the platform for a Sunday service, anytime a pastor comes up, that pastor will introduce himself to the entire audience. And even though maybe 75% of them already know him, but we always expect when we are at the pulpit, on the podium, that there are going to be people who have never been there before. And so that's our primary outreach. And we also have some things like we love Loaves and Fishes. We have our pastor Greg Sexton has been working with them for probably over a decade. He runs one of their outreach programs on I think it's the second Saturday of each month, where they do a feeding program. But there's there is that aspect. Our pastor Roger Hirth was a missionary in Romania for 10 years. So we do have an outreach. Kind of looking beyond Pensacola. But really, out of the 4 things we do, the weekend service is what we do. Then we have 3 next steps beyond that, and I won't go into all of that now. If you want to know, you can come to a service, but the weekend service is our primary one.
Okay. Now, you're putting a lot of money into this building when you think of it, $1.7 million, which also creates a lot of jobs. Can you talk a little bit about what that $1.7 million is going to do?
Absolutely. The 1.7 or so, 1.6, 1.7 is really what's going to happen if you turn the Rex upside down and nothing falls out. So that's with no furniture, fixtures,
we've been
equipment.
there. Something will fall out.
Something will fall
Okay.
out.
Well,
But I hope so. Maybe with your power of spirituality, it won't.
So we're really actually looking closer to a $2 million project when you look at all the FF&E and then AVL that we're going to put into it. But as far as job creation, we have a fairly small staff for a church of our size. We have, including full-time and part-timers, we have about a dozen employees.
But all the jobs you'll create with construction.
Jobs that you'll create.
Absolutely.
You're so haven't been through that. You're going to have 20 or 30 or more people working on construction, whether it's your air conditioning, your heating, your brickwork, when you get into that. So you're creating a lot of very good construction jobs in our community.
That's an excellent point. I actually wasn't even thinking that direction, but yes, that is correct.
And your contracting partner is Green Hut?
Green Hut, yeah, Green Hut. We're very excited. We have Ryan Green Hut, who we've been speaking to, and he's the grandson of the founder. So we're really excited to be working with him. And they've got their A team on the project, Randy Alcott, and then Kevin. And Kevin, I'm sorry, I forgot your last name, but Kevin, Randy, and Ryan we have on that.
And talk some about what you're going to do to the inside of that building. The last time I was in there was about 8 months ago, probably, and it's very much just the bones are left of what was once, a beautiful place, but now it's it needs some love and then some on the inside.
It really does. We've been working with Carter Kina Architects for several months now.
Excellent in rehabilitation
They're
work.
phenomenal. Like I can't. I mean, it was perfect that we were able to get them involved in this project. But on the inside, what we're doing is we're restoring the main theater to a theater. So like the main auditorium is going to be an auditorium. We're going to have stadium seats that are going to go up the back of the auditorium. And so we're going to have roughly 200 stadium seats. So they'll be the flip style, kind of similar to what you would experience at the Carmike. And then on the floor, we're going to have approximately 250 to 300 floor seats. So we're going to be able to have about 500 seats overall,
inside.
but they're going to be removable floor seats, and so you'll be able to cart them in and out, and then you could do like events to have tables and chairs. You can do standing room only for concerts. There's just a lot of flexibility that we're going to have with that main auditorium. And so people have asked us, hey, are you turning the Rex into a church? And the quick answer is no. We're actually just turning it back into an auditorium, into a theater type of structure.
And you had said that you were going to try to keep some of the brick that is
Absolutely,
not exposed on the inside.
Yeah, the brickwork is so cool because first off, if you look pretty closely, you can see where it was hand rolled. And it's just old brick, so there's like swirls on the brick, and so where we can, we want to expose it and just have that kind of industrial, kind of rough but cool feel. So we're not going to be painting everything white and making it immaculate. We're going to be we want it to have some character. We want it to have some rustic to it.
And to your credit, that having experience in old brick, it's more expensive to do what you're doing than just paint over it, just wall over it. So again, that's your trying to keep the old, but making it more usable.
Yeah, once again, we just feel that the Rex itself is such an asset. We don't want to discard that. We want to keep the Rex. Like for instance, the sign that you were talking about, the red and yellow and the Art Deco look that's on the front. We're restoring the sign to the Rex. It's not going to say Harvest Church on there. It's just going to say the Rex, the Rex.
And you all had to go kind of far to find someone who had the specialty knowledge to work with that, as I remember.
Well, we're still kind of trying to figure out who's going to be able to restore the sign. We went.
It is a special skill to work with.
It is a special skill. Yeah, you can't just call up ABC sign company and say, hey, come restore this, this 1930s sign for us. They have to have some knowledge with how that functions, and more knowledge than I have even as I'm talking about the sign. I just know that we're going to find the right person and get it done.
Well, Ryan Green Hut will be in charge of finding the right person.
There you go.
He will. We've worked with Green Hut Construction quite a bit, and they're, again, very good at finding different people, different folks, and a wide scope of information knowledge. But once again, that's local. Architectural firms local. I know the heating and air conditioning will be local.
Absolutely.
I know the construction will be local, and I know in our agreements we actually require that 80% of all people working on the site live in Escambia County, which is who you're using. That'll be a natural. So thank you for your commitment to this job creation in this community.
Well, it's our pleasure. We are locals. I was born in Pensacola, so I'm just excited to be a part of this project. It's really, really an honor.
Well, what other kind of thing? What is it going to add to the streetscape, sort of, to have you guys down there? Because a lot of the action is south of Garden Street, but there's more to Palafox than south of Garden Street.
Yeah, there is, and as you guys mentioned, there is quite a renaissance happening. On Palafox there, and it doesn't seem like as much has been happening north of Garden, but there's a lot of potential there. We have Mackey's Mud House that opened up recently, which is awesome. We really enjoy hanging out with Kevin when we're there, but we also the Rock Hard Jewelry store there as well that
we
we're
get
kind
our
of sandwiched
mugs at
in.
the Bodacious Brew from AJ Mugs,
AJ
which
Mugs,
is right down
absolutely.
there. Dan Lindemann.
Yeah. Dan, I stop in there every now and then to say hi to him and just give him an update on what's going on. But I just feel like we've got just very supportive neighbors. Like everybody that we've talked to, you know, whether it be Dan or Rocky or Kevin, they're just awesome. I mean, you know, they've been very supportive of the ideas. But what we're going to bring to that street with the different events that we have, obviously we're going to have our weekend services, so people will be able to, you know, we're going to have 1,000 people in a weekend.
Right.
That wouldn't be there otherwise. And guess what they're going to want to do when they get out of the service?
Something.
Hey, I'm thinking we might have to open up the Bodacious Brew on
Might
Sunday.
have to add some Sunday hours
They
down
might
there.
need to go grab a beer. No, but
Oh, well, coffee first.
okay, sorry. But that's right. Sorry about that. No, but
But we do have, anyway, go
Yes.
ahead.
okay. Well, the excitement is that we are going to be able to bring some people there to, you know, to partake of the restaurants and the other in the
Yeah.
other area.
It's going to be
But-
wonderful.
But also just to have another venue. You know, we've got the vinyl, you know, of course, on the corner of Garden and Palafox, but I feel like we're going to bring a venue at the Rex that's not there.
Well, what we found, again, when I say we find, it's through research.
Sure.
When you bring people down, whether it's 5,000 for a Wahoo game, 1,000 down for your church services, they now start wanting to spend more time down. And then they want to live downtown. So we're all in this together, the county, the city, we're all in this together, and I think that's marvelous to capture your type of excitement. And again, that's been sitting there a long, long time.
It really
And
has.
Very long time.
Took some prayer, obviously, and,
We're still praying,
and some courage to make that type of commitment.
We're really thrilled just to be able to partner with what's already going on. Like, you know, we're not saying, hey, we're bringing all this cool stuff to downtown. Downtown's already cool. We just get to come to be a part of it, and that, to me, that's the honor right there, that we get to invest some of our time, some of our money into the downtown Pensacola and be a part of it.
Well, there's some other great churches down there too. So Sunday's
right.
going to be a wild church day.
It's going to be a very busy
downtown
day.
Pensacola. I mean, right where you're at, there's some wonderful other parishes and congregations that people can go to.
Are going to a lot of choices there. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's another thing, though. You know, once again, we're not just going to have another alternative as a church service, but it's going to be a theater. You know, we're going to be we plan to show some movies there.
Right.
The ins and outs of that, I don't yet know completely logistically how we're going to do that, but you know, if someone wants to have a live event there, like a live concert, a comedian that comes into town, small scale live theater, we're going to be able to have a venue for that.
Yeah, when I travel, I go, of course, to a lot of cities for my job, and I think having small theater is really important. Even in New York, they have some small theaters because the venues are better for certain things, and it'll, again, not compete with any of the theaters as I look at it, but just be a nice addition and be a nice place for people to try things out and concerts and so on. And it's terrible, because the thing I hate is sometimes you put a lot of money into a facility for one day a week. And the fact that you're investing $2 million now, which is something that actually will be able to be utilized 7 days a week.
Absolutely. We don't want it to be empty if at all possible.
And there are plans for cafe space there also, right?
Yeah, if you go into the Rex, the main auditorium, you know, is the ground floor, and it also is partially the second floor because the ceiling's very high.
Right.
But towards the front of the theater, it's, you know, basically just up from the lobby. There's going to be a second floor cafe, and so we'll be able to have concessions there. People will be able to hang out, have a coffee, you know, that type of stuff. And then right above that is the third floor, and that's going to be all meeting rooms. And on Sundays when we have our services, we're going to have, you know, kids ministry there. You know, but then during the week we can utilize it for other.
Do you have a
other
pretty,
things.
you know, one of the things I've been always impressed about in the South, particularly coming from the North, is the youth programming in the various churches. Do you have a strong youth
We
program?
really do. Yeah, we make a point to not only say that it's important, but we put our money in our kids ministry too. You know, if our kids ministry needs something, whether it's a new piece of equipment or to hire someone to, you know, to make something happen, we're going to put our money where our mouth is there. And you know, for instance, recently we moved our youth program, you know, our sixth grade, you know, and up. We moved them from our offices to American Legion Hall. So we actually meet on Wednesday nights at the American Legion Hall here in town, and we had to buy a whole new sound system for them to be portable to go there. And we just didn't skip a beat. We're like, you know what? It's the cost of doing ministry. They need it. We're going to make it happen.
Will some of your youth programs be coming down that way too?
They will. We're looking forward to figuring that out a little bit as we go. We don't know, like, if American Legion is doing awesome. We're
Yeah.
probably going to continue at the American Legion. But we like the idea of having youth rallies at the the Rex. Having special concerts, youth related concerts at the Rex. So special events oriented. A lot of that we're going to be able to do there.
That's great. And I know that one of the questions that I have gotten is it going to be, when there are concerts there, is it going to be all churchy music or is it going to be other kind of music? And what kind of programming are you looking at?
Well, I mean,
putting in
I think family friendly is a term that is important here.
Yeah.
Contemporary Christian, not so much. I mean, we're not going to bar someone from being at the Rex because they don't have the same view of the Bible that we have. But it doesn't need to be family friendly. So if it's something
Sure.
like for instance a great jazz concert, they may not give a hoot about God one way or the other, but it's awesome jazz,
Or they might.
or they might. But what I'm saying is, it's not going to be a sticking point from that perspective. But it has to be. We're probably not going to have. I don't even want to think. But we're like the latest horror movie. We're not going to be showing there.
Right.
Well, it's interesting. I was just watching TV today, and there's actually a real renaissance happening right now in biblical movies that are coming out.
There are.
They're just talking about that. So what a great time to open this. When do you think it will be ready?
That is the $2 million question.
Right. Add about 3 months to whatever you say, by the way.
Well, Green Knight has told us that once we begin, about 180 days.
Okay.
So where
So
we
plus
are,
a little.
Yeah, where we are now, we're thinking if all the financing goes smooth. By the way, we've chosen Smart Bank to go with.
Johnny Wright.
Johnny Wright, yes, exactly. We've had just some great meetings with him.
Johnny and his bank have always, Johnny, even before Smart Bank, has always been so committed to this community.
Well, he just makes you feel important when you sit down with him, and I know that he's got bigger fish to fry besides us. But just the fact that you sit down
and he's a neighbor of yours.
Yeah,
isn't he?
he's just right across the street.
Across the street.
But as soon as we get the financing figured out, which should be, probably the end of March, then from that point we can start construction, and 6 months plus that. I mean, we could be talking about October, November.
Probably want to get in before the holidays.
We want to have a Christmas. Imagine going into the Rex and having just these huge ceilings. I think they're about 30 some odd feet tall, and having just huge ornaments hanging down, just the whole thing like a winter wonderland. So we're looking forward to doing that type of decoration for the holidays.
That'd be wonderful for
be
this
so
community
fantastic.
for the holidays.
And I love that the word family friendly kind of gets thrown around as a descriptor for a lot of things, but it is a niche in that scene, that Palafox scene, that is not being fulfilled right now. And I think that that's a good, smart marketing place for you to go to.
It'd be wonderful. Even when we've looked at gallery night, we at one time we had the Wahoo sponsored a kids area, but now a bank's going there, so maybe that whole market area someday could be more of a children's area on gallery night or something. Because it'd be nice for families to be able to bring their children down. Some do, but it'd be wonderful, and that's a great niche that you and the other parishes could fill.
We'd love to be able to partner to do that.
That'd be great. Yeah. Josh, thank you so much for
such a pleasure.
being with us.
So the sign's not for sale, because that's really what I want.
The sign's going to be restored.
Yeah.
But if something happens where we need to take a part of it off or something, I'll let you know.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on the project, and I wish you all the success in the world. I know that you have divine intervention on your side, so I think everything will go well for you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for using local people, too.
Yes.
Local architect, local contractor, thank you.
Local bank,
it's
very
our
important.
pleasure.
Local bank, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us, and if you stick around with us for a few minutes, we will be right back. Thank you. The Rex is more than just an old theater, and that's why bringing it back to life means more than just the fact that the pigeons hanging out above the marquee will have to find new digs. The old theater is, I think, a piece of moving the Renaissance of Palafox Street north of Garden. If the Rex can be brought back to her feet, it might be taken as a sign that the future of our downtown lies in more than bars and restaurants. Not that there's anything wrong with bars and restaurants. The entertainment district that is burgeoning south of Garden Street is bringing foot traffic and dollar flow that was literally unthinkable when Palafox was a wasteland most weekend nights just a few years ago. But a great street is more than that, and a great downtown is more than one street. A great downtown has a mix of types of retail and commercial businesses. It's walkable, clean, well-lit, and safe. It has a mix of residences from homes to condos to apartments and lofts so that people of different stripes can mingle together. It is a gathering place for big events and should reflect the soul of its community. Palafox needs to be more than south of Garden Street because Palafox, and by extension Pensacola, needs to be more than a place for just a good time. Turning Palafox south of Garden into a great American street has been an awesome accomplishment. It proves that a city our size can revitalize itself with a mix of public will, private entrepreneurship, and focused planning. Taking that spirit a little farther up the street would be a sign that we are good for more than just a good time. It would be a sign that a little city that could actually can. Thanks for joining us. Please be sure to check us out online at progresspromise.com, on our Facebook page, and follow us on Twitter at OurProgressNow. We'll see you next time.
Pensacola is moving forward. For decades, we've been looking at the horizon, gathering the pieces, laying the foundation for a brighter future. Now that horizon is upon us. The pieces are in place. It's time to put them together, to bring this community together and build something greater than the sum of its parts. Out of many, us. Pensacola.